All right, let's just jump right into this explainer. Today, we're exploring the absolute extreme physical and mental blueprints forged by David Goggins in his book, Can't Hurt Me. Specifically, we're zeroing in on the raw, unfiltered wisdom from chapters 5 and 6. This is where the true depths of human endurance are not just tested, but completely shattered. We're talking about what it takes to not just survive a situation, but absolutely conquer the impossible.
So I want you to really think about this for a second. What actually happens when your brain tells you that you are entirely out of gas? Like when your body is literally screaming in agony and every single instinct you have is just begging you to quit. Well, stick around, because today we're going to learn exactly how to bypass that massive mental roadblock.
Here's how we're going to break this down. First, building the armored mind. Second, enduring with stress fractures. Third, the 101-mile challenge. Fourth, the cookie jar technique. And finally, number 5, the 40% rule.
And hey, before we dive into the deep end, I just want to mention that the incredible insights we're about to unpack are pulled straight from Lioncrest Publishing, who brought these raw, totally unfiltered concepts to the world back in 2018.
Okay, Section 1, Building the Armored Mind, Forged in Hell Week. Let's plunge right into our very first crucible. We're talking about the icy, downright torturous waters of Navy SEAL Bud/training.
To really wrap our heads around this, I want you to imagine an instructor named Psycho Pete. Picture this guy, right? Veins literally popping out of his forehead, glaring at you and your crew, screaming, "You men are embarrassing yourselves straight across the board. Is this the only painful chapter we put in the program?" And remember, this is happening after endless, grueling hours of physical torture.
And man, that torture was visceral. Think about it. 1 hour of straight, brutal push-ups, your knees just grinding into the dirt, your face exactly 1 inch away from the instructor absorbing every single ounce of his screaming. It's wild. But it's exactly this visceral contrast between the physical agony of Hell Week and the desperate psychological need to just survive that birthed Goggins' first major mental strategy.
And that strategy is the armored mind. It's this clinical, almost detached way to separate yourself from the pain and actually turn adversity into literal armor. Think about how your hands develop those thick, tough calluses from lifting heavy weights, right? Well, you have to develop a psychological callus over your brain. That's how you withstand extreme suffering, bullying, and failure. You take the opponent's energy, you take the pain itself, and you use it to your advantage to keep pushing forward. This is absolutely crucial because it's a foundational tool you can apply to literally any overwhelming obstacle in your own life.
Which leads us right to Section 2, Enduring with Stress Fractures, the Physical Toll. You see, the punishment didn't just stop at exhaustion. Let's look at the immense physical damage the human body can actually sustain while the armored mind just keeps pushing forward.
I mean, try to imagine your body taking this kind of damage, splintering shins, having to literally tape up your broken feet just to stand upright, taking 30 agonizing minutes just to get up out of a chair. Imagine your bones literally cracking, sending shockwaves of pain shooting up your legs with every single movement, and you still have to lace up your boots and go for a run. That is exactly what it means to rely on an armored mind when your physical body has completely shut down. Now on to Section 3, the 101-mile challenge, the San Diego One Day. Let's shift gears to our next massive crucible. This was a seemingly impossible physical challenge that Goggins took on completely unprepared. 101. Yep, 101. That is the staggering number of miles Goggins had to run in under 24 hours at the San Diego One Day race. And get this, he decided to do this essentially on a whim to raise money, with absolutely zero proper training for an ultramarathon. Crazy, right? The visceral reality of that decision is just terrifying. He had zero marathon training, he was running in blood-stained white socks over broken, ruined blisters. At a medical tent, ironically named Hospitality Point, by the way, he was sitting in a folding chair with his toenails literally falling off. By mile 70, his kidneys were failing, his feet were totally destroyed, and his body was shutting down completely. At that point, he was running purely on willpower.
So, how in the world do you keep moving? Section 4, the cookie jar technique, hijacking the nervous system. Seriously, how do you survive when your body is completely breaking down? Well, you need a powerful internal catalyst. And that brings us to his next psychological framework. Instead of panicking as his body started to fail, Goggins reached into what he calls his mental cookie jar. Think of this as a mental reserve of past victories and obstacles you've already overcome.
You pull out memories of your past traumas and your greatest victories to literally hijack your sympathetic nervous system. We aren't just talking about thinking happy thoughts here. It's about using the undeniable proof of what you've survived in the past to reignite your adrenaline in the present moment, right when you're in intense suffering.
So here's how you can turn this into a real, actionable procedure the next time you're facing an impossible task. Step 1. Write down past obstacles you have successfully overcome. Be super specific. Step 2. Access this mental jar when you hit a wall of pain or doubt. Step 3. Use that specific memory to push back and regain control. You're basically reminding your brain, hey, I've been through hell before, and I survived. And that leads us to our final core concept in Section 5, the 40% rule, bypassing the governor. This is the ultimate realization Goggins had about human potential, and he discovered it at the absolute bleeding edge of his physical limits.
So here's the 40% rule. When your mind tells you that you are completely, utterly exhausted and you simply cannot go on, you are actually only at 40% of your actual capacity. The crucial takeaway here is that the feeling of total exhaustion, it's a lie. It is a complete fabrication by your brain's survival mechanism.
When you look at this breakdown, it's the ultimate aha moment for me. It perfectly separates the artificial ceiling your brain sets from reality. That 40% chunk, that's just your perceived limit. But look at that massive 60% remaining. That is a huge reservoir of untapped potential just waiting for you. The crazy thing is, most people quit right there at the boundary between those two.
But why do we quit there? Well, it's because the brain acts just like a governor on a car engine. It uses fear, pain, and insecurity to stop you from risking everything, just to keep you comfortable. Just like a governor restricts a car's top speed to protect the engine, your brain uses pain and doubt to keep you safely locked inside your comfort zone. But the good news is, you can choose to override it. To truly unlock that remaining 60%, you absolutely must actively condition your mind. You have to acknowledge the brain's attempt to stop you for what it is. You've got to ditch that victim mentality completely. You have to push past that initial shock of pain. And ultimately, you must expand your baseline of suffering. You have to willingly embrace the discomfort and step right into the fire.
So, I want to leave you with a final thought to really challenge your own limits. Are you going to let your brain's governor stop you at 40%? Or will you reach into your cookie jar, armor your mind, and finally unlock your true potential? Thanks so much for joining me in this explainer. Now get out there, bypass that governor, and